Hey guys, what's up? So here we have our basic structure working with RequireJS. We have all our external libraries inside the lib folder and all our main logic of the application inside the app folder. And we have an entry point here that is just like pointing out where the lib and app folder are. So far what we did is we included in here the RequireJS inside the lib folder, and we also created the app folder and the app loader. But we didn't create any main.js, so that's what we will do in this lesson. And we will create one module just to explain how things work and how it is called inside the entry point that is main.js. So open your web editor in here and make sure you have this structure in here. Just as a quick thing, in the previous lesson, we just added app.js, but the file was app with s. So I corrected it. Make sure yours is corrected as well, otherwise you might throw an error. That's great. So open your Google Chrome and open the exercise file. You should have this structure in here that is exactly the same that is in your web editor. You have the app that is empty, you have the lib that has RequireJS, you have the app that is the entry point, and we have index. Drag index inside your Google Chrome. It will show you an empty page. Open the developer tools here and more tools and developer tools. Once it's open, it throws an error. It just says the main.js hasn't been loaded, and it makes sense because we didn't create it now. So let's go ahead and create that. In here, I'm just going to choose the syntax first of all as a JavaScript. Then once I have it, I'll create the main file. The main is simply a module because everything here is modular. We'll create a module calling other module, but this is the entry point because it is called in here in the app.js in here with main. We don't need to precise any .js or anything because RequireJS is smart enough to be able to figure it out. So let's do it. How do I create a module? Just by entering define, then a function, then I'm just saying require. Then in here I just open the bracket and the module is created. I can just output something like module main, and that's it. That's how a module is created. The main is supposed to be inside the app folder, so I'm just gonna change the title in here into main.js and I save it, and that's done. It's created. I open my web browser in here and I reload. Once I reload, I have module main that is output in here, meaning that it has actually been loaded. What we'll do now is we will work with the structure with a student trying to do a couple of operations. How it works is I'll introduce you to the notion of classes inside module. All my module will be classes. To start with it, I'll open in another tab in here and create a calculator because I want a student to be able to use a calculator to be able to complete a couple of operations. Calculator is a module, student is a module as well. So as usual, I'm just going to add in here a syntax and JavaScript. Once I have it, to create a module is pretty simple. Just define function in here. Then I close it with a semicolon. Then I enter like that. Then I'll say, okay, this module will be a calculator. And the calculator will take two numbers, the number 1, then the number 2. Awesome. Now that we have it, I will just do a quick check. I'll say if the type of number 1 in here is equal to undefined, or the type of number 2 is undefined. What I will do is simple. I'll just output an error with console.error in here, and I'll say wrong parameter. Then I'll throw an exception to stop the program. like bad parameter. And that's it. The calculator is simply be able to take those two numbers and just do some calculation with it. So what I'll do right now is like, I'll enter some variables in here that will be proper to the class. To differentiate it, I start with the underscore, number 1, then var number 2. Then I assign to number 1 the one that is inside, the one that we started with. Then I'll assign the number 2 in here with the one that the class is taking. That's pretty great. So now that we have it, we want to do some basic operation with it. Meaning by that, I'll start with a simple addition. How does it work? I'll say this. This refer to the class in here, calculator, because I'm inside the scope of the function class that is considered just as a class, the function calculator that is considered as a class. So I'll say this and I'll say addition. Then the addition, all it does is it's just going to return the result of the addition, and open bracket, this number 1 plus this number 2, and that's it. And that's how it works. A function is created, addition in here is a function, so I need to precise it in here, and that's it. You save your file. Where you have to save it is, I'll choose to save it inside the app folder, so that it's just gonna be a module of my application. And I enter calculator with a capital C, calculator.js, just close to it. And that's perfect. That's how it works. Now, how do I do to be able to call this module inside another module? It is pretty simple in here. I'm just gonna get rid of this one. And what I'll do is, I get rid of this one. What I'll do is, I'm just going to create a var. That will be just the class that I'm actually calling. And I'll use the require that is mentioned in here to call the class calculator. So for just something that is really interesting is all the function you can call, the way you will reference it, you don't need to use this if they are in a lib folder because it's the base URL. But if it is not a folder, you need to add it related to with a relative path that is actually relative to the main.js. And as it is in the same folder, I just need to use this. Just like same folder by the dot, and I use this, the /, and then I just use calculator with Node.js because the library is slick enough to be able to determine it. Then this is just the class I need to use to declare the actual object, and I can use new calculator. And that's how it works. I just need to give 2 numbers because that's the constructor saying in here. It's waiting 2 numbers. I can say 40 and 50. And that's it. Now it won't work because the module in here is a function and is not returning anything. So I need to return something. What I need to do is I need to return the instance of calculator in here. I need to return the function calculator. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to return calculator, and that's all. And to be able to work, you need to specify a prototype inside the calculator function in here. So in order to do that, what you do is you specify it by actually overriding the prototype in here. Then that's pretty simple. You just say, okay, the constructor, what will it be? It is simply calculator. Then get calculator, because that's the function that will be used to get the calculator. In here is a function that will just return an instance, the function in here, return this. All right, that's cool. We have it. So just to summarize it, you need to return a calculator every time you create an instance. Anytime you create a module that will be used by another module, you need to return it, and you need to override the constructor by overriding the prototype in here with an object that has the calculator and the get calculator function. Once that's done, we can test it in here. If you go to our navigator in here just to check if there are errors, there are no errors. So now we can try and use it. What I will do is, like, I'm just gonna output something, console log, and I use the calculator object in here, and I use the function addition, and that's it. And I reload. I have an error in here. It says calculator not defined. So it's not defined because calculator in here, calculator. All right, I have this. I require in here calculator. Make sure we check all the files are properly done. Okay, that's a great way to actually debug it. All right, we copy, paste it in here. All right, in here. Okay, constructor, prototype, we have everything. All right, so let's execute it again. Okay, I have addition 90 in here. I just need to parse it properly and make sure it displays properly like that. And yeah, I reload and I have addition 90. So it actually does the job. And this wraps up the use of the modules with RequireJS.